AM 95 WIBX, Utica, Rome, New York. I'm Harvey Lisker. We'll be talking this morning with a great trumpet player from Las Vegas, Nevada, by the name of Charlie Turner.
You know, Harvey, I was just sitting here thinking, it's kind of late at night here in Las Vegas, and I was talking to Billy May and Nelson Riddle, and Mr. Sinatra, all those kind of guys wanted me to give you a call just to see how your program's going, if you'd make sure and check on you guys to see you're playing good music.
How many pieces in your group?
There are 22. We have 5 saxes, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 3 French horns, tuba, piano, bass, guitars, drums, and Sinatra himself came in after his Acapulco vacation in January, first Monday in January, and he conducted it, which Frank is more of a phrasing type conductor than he is a Toscanini, but he did a beautiful job, you know. And he had a good time. The rest, everybody had a good time, I guess, but me, and I was just hoping the whole thing didn't fall apart in my face.
You're going to have a good time when they're sold.
Well, you know, the funniest thing, I expected to do a mail-order business with this album and then do clinics as I got older, you know. And I guess there's not many trumpet players left around that even like or still play the old standards. So to play The More I See You and Laura and Sweet and Lovely, Don't Worry About Me, Our Love Is Here to Stay, The Very Thought of You, Moonlight in Vermont, Stella by Starlight, What's New, and Time After Time, you have to remember some old songs to get that batch, right?
Well, they're very popular, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're kind of coming back, and I'm surprised that now I had 2 calls from London and another one from Norway and a couple other Scandinavian key points that now I'm to go over there to present the album. They've smuggled a few out of New York over there now, and tried to, you know, fill all the requests, and the people told me where to send them and so forth, that people would appreciate them, and the president got his 2 or 3 days ago. I figured that we'd send them through Mrs. Reagan, and who knows, she might talk to President into dancing a little bit in the Oval Office, you know.
Right, now, are you entertaining in Vegas or what?
No, I'm doing this entirely now. For the last 8.5 years, I played with Mr. Sinatra exclusively. About 8 years, I guess. And as of the last couple of months, he hasn't, close to nearly every year, he slows down toward the end of the year to kind of rest up coming into the holidays. And so I've been able to not have to do some of that, save them money and me the time. So it's been very nice to be able to cool it a little bit.
Right, now, before you went with Sinatra, what were you doing?
I was working in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He needed when he came out of retirement, he wanted a trumpet player. And there were three or four names given to him and to the conductor at that time, Bill Miller. And ended up I got tagged with it. Main thing is I weigh a lot and I don't get tired, and I can play strong on the horn, and the instrument hasn't been too difficult for me. Many times I felt like throwing it away, but it's the only thing I know how to do.
Right, now, did you play with any major group before you got involved with Sinatra?
Not really. What I did was I did relief work in Las Vegas. That's the type of thing where I started the production shows, and then I played for a different star every night on a relief night, which means you have to sight read a little faster. And see, the bands have to have a night off. All the star policy shows back in those days, you know, we're talking 15, 20 years ago. And I played the off-night lead for various stars, and a lot of them became first name type friends of mine, and just strictly from the musical standpoint, you know.
Right.
And quite some good friendships I've made that way.
Well, that's good. And how about your education? Did you have any formal education?
Yeah, I went to college in Florida. I was born and raised near a swamp in Florida, and my dad was a mechanic. He says he gave me a trumpet. They paid $50 for it. They said, it took us 2 years to pay for this. Try to do something with it, kids, instead of being stuck in this town. And so, of course, this is before television, or at least we couldn't receive it in that small a town. And we were forced into practicing just a wee bit there. That's how I got started. You know.
Right, hold on, Charlie. Just let me explain that this is AM 95 WIBX, Utica, Rome, New York. And it's a big band jazz program coming to you live on AM 95 WIBX, Utica, Rome, New York, with Charlie Turner calling us this morning from Las Vegas. And Charlie's got a new album out. What are you calling it, Charlie?
Well, you know, this is the funniest thing because I printed the front slick of this jacket 3-4 months ago. And it's blue and a picture of myself on one side, Mr. Sinatra on the right side conducting, and Billy May and Frank and I on another smaller picture. And I called it, I said, it'd be a great name, What's New, because the song What's New's on it. And just I got to New York and let it release a few weeks ago, Linda Ronstadt comes up with a Nelson Riddle arranged album called What's New.
You have to admit, you have to admit that's a tremendous album.
Oh, I sent her one the other day, and I said, Linda, I admire you for having the stamina, the perseverance, well, it's the guts to do something of good music and change your style to at least give a try in that area, and to pick such a fantastic writer, which one of the songs I have is 30 years old that Nelson wrote on this chart, on this album. And I told her, I said, well, I'm sorry about naming it the same as yours is What's New. And I said, you're singing yours and I'm playing. And the front of my cover is blue and yours is pink, so maybe that is enough as sort of a joke.
Well, I was really surprised. I never thought that I would be playing music by Linda Ronstadt on this live big band jazz program. It is superb.
Well, just for her, she is a very intelligent young lady, and I haven't had a chance to personally meet her, but when I've heard her talk to people, she has so much good to say, and she's so knowledgeable about good music. And I was so surprised to hear the rock come out of that little gal, and then all of a sudden, not switch gears, but go back to what she originally loved. And all of us guys like you and myself have been listening and loving this kind of music maybe all of our lives.
No, I think what it is, too, whenever the economy is bad, and let's face it, the majority of Americans have money on their minds, one way or the other. They have the uncertainties of their jobs, and music can make you forget about it.
Yes.
It can bring back some of the good times that you wish were with you now, and you can bring them back. It's very simple to do.
Yes. When you hear songs like The Very Thought of You on my album was Ray Noble. You remember he had a real sweet big band years ago, and he had a real tenderness about him. And just passed away Ira Gershwin. I did Our Love Is Here to Some Evergreens. They never seem to turn brown,
Right, I know it. And no, I like I say, before I'm getting music from all over the world, there are people that are trying. They're making their own records. They got their own record companies, like Pat Longo.
That's what this is.
The big companies won't touch them.
Well, now, I could have sold to RCA, but it would have been less than what I thought it was worth, and it wasn't that money was so important, but I said, well, if you're not going to be enthusiastic about it, it might as well gather dust on my shelf as yours. And so I formed my own company, and by the way, this is going to become not exactly a killer money-wise, but it's a first effort, and I'm not going to get hurt.
Well, I think the main thing, too, is to get the publicity out there, to let the people know that you are producing this music, and maybe something will come of it with everybody involved.
We're sketching the second album, I thought I'd tell you. The second album is getting ready right now, and people like Matt Monroe have come through town and heard my album being played on the radio at various areas, and also in New York and Los Angeles and several major cities even previous to its actual being in the stores.
Well, my audience is familiar with the voice of Matt Monroe, and I'll tell you how, seeing as how you've got the music there of Billy May.
Yeah.
Remember when Billy had the first concert in London on the BBC? I think it was in '82.
Yes.
And I have a copy of that.
Yeah.
So I play it here on this program.
That was the reason Matt called me, and he was trying to get in touch with me. He said, who did that thing? He said it was from Billy May, and what's the name of that guy? Of course, not many people know my name unless they've seen Mr. Sinatra in the last 3-4 years, but, doing the solos, I've been sitting in the back row for so long, and I really didn't mind that, but he wanted a place to be reminiscent of the big bands, and so I got stuck with the middle spot in the show.
Now, are you coming east with Sinatra at all in the Golden Nugget?
No. That they're doing a different kind of show there with Dean Martin. And I always have done that, but there's only 2 of those the rest of this year. And half of the show goes to Dean, and half of it will be Mr. Sinatra, and they have a good time with it. They've added strings since we haven't used strings in several years, 3 or 4 years, and they've added strings, and so this gives me a chance to, I have to go to London, I have to...
Right, no, that's great. And I noticed that, of course, with that, Frank Jr. is really coming along. What do you think of his talent?
Well, I worked with Frank Jr. back when, years ago, before I worked with Sinatra, and I was playing in the Harry James Band one night a week on relief night, see? And Frank Jr. was the singer along with the Phil Harris, Harry James, Frank Jr. show. Well, he and I got to be very good friends, and I said, I listened to the very old Frank Sr. records, and I said the kid actually has many phrasing points that sounds a lot like him. And as of this album, but I teased him, His Sweet and Lovely was written by Billy May 2 years after mine was, but recorded a little sooner. God bless him. But I thought he outdid himself on his everything he's sang on the Pat Longo. I liked Misty. I liked Sweet.
Where do you come from originally?
Florida, can't you tell?
Well, I don't know. I get all these accents all the time. It sounds like a Western twang to me.
No, well, I'm stuck between 21 years in Las Vegas and then born and raised in Florida. My father from Georgia, so I don't stand much of a chance, do I?
Well, hey, listen, how about your father and anybody else? They play music?
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad played violin, not not a hillbilly, but he played standard songs, but more from just natural, just picked it up and threw it up there and wailed with it,
Did he give you any kind of lessons or anything when you were younger?
No, he wouldn't even play after I was able to play, past a certain proficiency, he wouldn't play.
Is that right?
His being a mechanic, he's just so happy. He's 71 right now, and I still have his violin, and he's still climbing around trees and enjoying his retirement in Florida,
And with that, we'll say good morning to Charlie and thank him for calling us from Las Vegas on this Big Band Jazz program here in the Mohawk Valley of New York State. We come to you daily on AM 95 WIBX, Utica Road, New York, a great place to be. I'm Harvey Lisker. Good morning.